you're live.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our resurgence of Tal'dorei, Field of Wonder. This is our first time back for 2 weeks, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to get back in the seats. You know, we had some personal stuff, some business stuff, and then now we are doing some imagination stuff. This is sort of like where imagination and storytelling kind of hold hands and then walk through the forest of math to bring you Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes. All of it.
All right. So before Smitty, you're way early for business joke.
No, but you made a business comment, so
That's true. All right. So before we get into it, let's go around.
Well,
let's actually Smitty.
Oh, great. Yeah, I believe it's my turn.
It is your turn.
Holy smokes.
So the next one is related to the stream, but it's not actually happening on stream. And the reason why is it would be a violation of TOS. Bill will be doing the entire stream not wearing any pants or underwear, but his camera will only be showing him from the chest up.
Speaking of imagination.
Yeah.
Wow, we're starting to really give away a lot of stuff here.
I mean,
yeah. So I mean, it's true, but just you'll have to imagine it. By the way,
we'll have some behind the scenes footage that we'll release later for the. Is that what the Patreon is for? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The COVID subscribers. Yes.
You know, one of the things that I know about podcasts is that they're starting to become more and more videotapes, so that you can kind of get a behind the scenes view. And I think that's probably something that I'm planning on doing for this stream. But it's going to not necessarily be like videotaped from this direction. It's going to be videotaped from below the table.
Right.
It's behind the scenes.
I was going to say.
And,
double B's as
behind and in front of.
Yeah, you had to go there.
Okay.
Is that what they're calling them? The scenes? Hey, nice scenes you got there.
Yes.
Oh boy,
I'm calling them now.
Well, by the way, Smitty, would you mind recording that in the Discord? For those of you that do not know, we have a Discord that is open. I just posted that link inside of the chat. And if you'd like to come and hang out and hear more of that, this is a good opportunity for you to do so.
And I believe the technical term for what Bill will be doing is called shirt cocking.
Specific.
Don't Google it if you don't want to see it.
No, it's exactly.
Okay, I have to do this.
But this is on my
incognito mode.
Oh,
shirt cocking?
My God.
Okay, I will wait for that for later. I have to write a note for myself. Anyway, before we do all of that disgusting stuff, let's go around the horn and tell us who are you and who are you playing tonight. And Rain, why don't we start out with you?
Hey, I am actually Googling right now. That's hilarious. I just see like you can just have it across your shirt. But I am Rain. I will be playing Big Mama Mocha, who is a halfling druid, Circle of the Swamp. Her pronouns are she, her. And yeah, ready to get back into it.
Okay, Smitty, why don't you go next?
I will be playing second, they, them, a Kenku life cleric who is very upset with the events of the prior episode and may or may not dig into that.
Yeah, and that's actually a good place to possibly do a blanket content warning just in case that we do get into that. There could be some, and I don't mean to make this a joke, so please don't take it that way. There could be some adult themes related to the resolution of Second's kind of feelings on this matter. So just a heads up that things could get a little bit heavy in a way that might be uncomfortable for some folks. But beyond that, let's go over to Alex.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alex. He, him pronouns. I'll be playing Hosen Sunhelm, the Runite fighter. And Rogue, I totally forgot what my multi-class was. It's been quite some time. His pronouns are he, him as well.
All right. And then Mr. Jacob, why don't you close us out?
Indeed. Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob Plick, Duval King Jacob on the Twitters, Instas, etc. And I have the he/him pronoun. And I'll be playing tonight Cinnabon Garrus. He is a Circle of the Wildfire druid and Haragon, and he's super cute, and I love him very much. And he is really fucking confused. They were just over there. They were just over there for like a couple of hours. What is happening?
And we are absolutely going to be digging into this. But before we do, just to close us out, my name is Bill.
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 Bail.
Bill.
I think you're trying to tell us something.
My address and social
Guys.
security number are.
I almost doxed myself there. Sorry. Listen, I've been talking a lot. I've been away on business for a long time, and I just, not so great at talking anymore. Anyway, and you can find me at Philadelphia on Twitter. You know what? Actually, I've been kind of like absent from Twitter for a long time for a number of reasons. But you know what? With what's going on, I think I'm actually gonna leave Twitter because fuck it, that place sucks now. Long story short, if you want to talk to me, the Discord is the best place to do it. So I'm going to be your DM for tonight, and before we get into the recap in the session, I would like to, as always, thank our artists. Happy Cap for the overlays, Lynn, i.e. Gremlin Art on Twitter for the character art, and Maddie for the intro, which you're about to see. I did mention that our Discord is open, so please come and hang out with us. And why not throw us a tip on our Ko-fi, which is on our overlay at the moment. But beyond that, let's have adventuring time. Let's do adventure stuff. Adventure away! Welcome back. In the last episode, which for the most part took pretty much within one room, if you can believe it, Team Small confronted the mayor after discovering he was affiliated somehow with the Clasp, which is the organization that employed the Yeti from earlier on in the campaign. And after charming him and then leaving, while Second stayed inside, invisible and hidden, and Cinnabon was casting plant growth, they waited for the charm to wear off, at which point the mayor ran into the back of one of the back rooms. Second followed with Hosen and Big Mama close behind, where the mayor was trying to get a missive out by using a raven caged in that room. But the three of them stopped them, and Big Mama trapped him in a rope and left him swinging from the ceiling. And it was around this point where they saw a caravan pass by on the Parchwood Way, which is a detail that I definitely don't want to let pass. At that point, the mayor tried to attack Hosen, which instigated Mama to then shoot an acid arrow at the mayor, killing him temporarily because Second then brought him back. And after some discussion, they investigated the other door inside the mayor's house, where they found this large map with pins stuck in the fabric near Whitestone and Drinna, the Umber Hills, Turst Fields, West Rune, and Tall Swamp. And then, running their hands over the map, they found a hole hidden beneath the canvas, approximately where they expect Shadebarrow to be, containing a capsule of some black dust. Hosen opened it, and it clouded the room, hurting everybody, at which point they all evacuated the residence with the mayor. And that's where I want to pick up tonight, because I think at this point, it's probably worth seeing this from the perspective of Cinnabon, who, again, to recap, is casting Plant Growth as a ritual, which is going to take 8 hours. Conservatively, I think we agree that we have about 3 hours left. And so you have been kind of frozen in stasis at the moment. Now, granted, you do have the option to end it at any time, but that will prevent the successful casting of the spell. Now, you have seen this happen. You know, Big Mama came over to talk to you, and mostly just kind of gave you an update without really asking your opinion, and just kind of like, hey, this is what's going on. Okay, bye. Then you saw, the 3 of them kind of rush in, and then a bunch of smashes, and you heard like glass shattering and that sort of thing. And then now what you see from your perspective is them pulling out the mayor, who, by the way, if I remember right, is unconscious. You did you didn't heal him. You did stay the dying, right? Or save the dying?
Spare
the dying. Okay, so he's unconscious at the moment, and everybody is pulling him out.
Right.
Actually, before we get there, I just want to get positioning from the 3 of you, just so that I can contextualize it for Jacob. Who is doing the pulling? Who is doing the door opening? What are your kind of situations at the moment?
Yeah, Big Mama was the one who came, because the door opens outwards. So she was the one who came outside looking very just annoyed by the whole situation, just holding the door and just, waiting for everyone else to come through it.
Okay.
I think Hosen's dragging the mayor out.
Okay. And what is Second doing?
Second's got one hand on the mayor helping Hosen, but also then carrying the cage with the raven in it as well on the other hand.
Perfect. Okay, great. So Cinnabon, that is the scene that you see in front of you. Again, you're probably maybe 500 feet away from this action. But I want to check in. Yeah, go ahead.
Point,
please.
Was this because there was also Big Mama Mocha did come out and try to give him something, and he's just like a bit busy, and then on top of that, Second also casts Prayer of Healing like right next to him as well. So I don't know if like that happened and then everybody went back in. I'm just trying to set the scene from that perspective.
Are we stepping back a little bit in time, or do we go back into the house?
Yeah.
Is that a question for me?
Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, why would we go back in time? Maybe I forget. It's been 2 weeks.
You were talking about you were talking specifically about like the dragging and where we ended, like was all outside. Everybody, at least Big Mama Mocha and Second were outside. I don't know if Hosen was. I think Hosen was dragging the mayor still.
Yep. Right. Yeah. So in my mind, we ended with basically you seeing them pull the mayor outside. But if there was another section of that where everybody, oh, okay. I apologize then. I forgot.
All good. No worries. We're not perfect.
So everybody brought them. Did you bring the mayor with you over to Cinnabon? Okay. So you all are there. And Second, I guess you cast prayer of healing around. Did you also target the mayor on that?
No.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, great. So then that's where we're going to pick up where the Second you just finally cast prayer of healing. Cinnabon, you are still kind of gesticulating wildly for your spell. But I do want to kind of get a bead on how Cinnabon is feeling at the moment. Like, what's going through your brain?
Yeah, as he's trying to attempt to stay focused, there is a bit of a concern uh, as to how this escalated to where this is right now. On top of the fact that why would you bring him out here? Like, there's just this like little, like these little pieces of like, I don't know that I would have made these decisions, but I don't have all of the information in which to be upset about it. So I'm just trying to keep my composure and stay focused.
Okay.
But there is an air of concern, and he specifically made a point to look at second and get a glimpse of how they're feeling about the situation.
Okay. I mean, is this intended to be a like knowing glance kind of thing, or is this like you are trying to get a read on second?
Try to get a read on second.
Okay, then I believe that would be an insight check.
Not awesome, but I think appropriate considering 13.
Okay, Smitty, with a 13, what information do you think that Cinnabon is able to glean from your countenance?
I think when Cinnabon meets Second's eye, Second very quickly glances over towards Big Mama Mocha and then kind of drops their head towards the ground with a bit of a slumped shoulder and walks away from where Hosen and Big Mama Mocha are a bit.
And how does that resonate with you, Cinnabon?
A bit of confirmation and increased concern.
Okay. Just ballpark. On a scale from 1 to 10, like what would you say your level of concern is?
About an 8.
Okay. All right. So let me now kind of take a tangent from this.
Okay.
Because I know that you're a druid, you grew up basically in a family of druids, you grew up in the Feywild. Have you ever cast the spell yourself or seen it cast around you?
My mother has cast this spell before.
In the ritual form, so you've seen the 8-hour process?
I don't think so, actually.
Interesting.
I think this is a new experience for him.
Okay, so with that said, I'm curious, specifically as it relates to the spell.
Yeah.
What is kind of going on in your mind? Because and let me kind of contextualize my question,
Yeah.
because I imagine that this might be kind of a semi-meditative state. And this is, you are kind of detaching yourself from your body in some way,
Right.
and kind of focusing on maybe I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, I think like as like that concern rises, and kind of the reason why it doesn't escalate any higher in his mind is there's an overarching aspect of a promise that he feels like he needs to keep to these people. They're probably the reason why he's alive at all. And on top of that, he wants, before they leave, he wanted to make sure that he did everything he could to take care of the current problem before moving into the familial situation. So essentially one crisis at a time.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it kind of feels like you are being thrown into a situation where there are many crises all kind of coalescing at the same time.
Literally.
Well, and I think at that point, considering that, your mind harkens back to when you were just kind of starting to learn about the relationship between the prime material plane and the Feywild. And you remember learning that there are some parts of the Feywild that maybe not necessarily geographically, but there are definite points in the Feywild that represent the same or have a deep connection or link to a similar place inside of the prime material. And in fact, that is obviously one of the ways that you got here.
Yep.
But I think in this semi-meditative state, and if any of you have done meditation, there are kind of like, cognitive links that form as you are kind of zoning out in a sort of way. And I think that you start to think about that fact pattern, and then your dream pops up again, the thought of your dream, and you think that there is something to that entrance into the earth that you always woke up before you entered. But then your friends come up in front of you, and that semi-meditative state kind of like dissipates a little bit.
Certainly.
Okay. Anything that you'd like to do or think about? You still got 3 hours.
Yeah, I think he'll just say it out loud. I'm still a bit confused and concerned about how we've got to this point, but I don't know where you plan to put him, especially if somebody comes by.
And just for flavor purposes, because I think it's a little bit tough to sort of make you act this out, but just imagine that this is in kind of speech that is interspersed with because there is a verbal component to your spell. So
Certainly.
But just for flavor.
Certainly.
But
yeah.
But I don't want to make you be like because we did it last time and that was kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, no, it makes sense though. I totally get it. I'm down.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just continues.
So the question is posed to the three of you from Cinnabon.
Interesting. Not all at once.
Yeah, I think
that is
this is an in-game pause.
Yeah, I love that. Question for you, Bill, during this pause. What are the sounds of like nearby? Like, is it, because I know it's nighttime, so is it just literal crickets and tumbleweeds?
Is it nighttime? I thought it wasn't.
I was pretty sure it was because we got back here pretty late. We haven't rested yet.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. So it was an 8-hour walk. You guys came out kind of in the middle of the night, and yeah. And in fact, when was the last? So you long rested, and it was the morning. It was the first thing in the morning you got out, and it was an 8-hour ride. So you are, it's probably I would say maybe 7 p.m. at the moment. So buzz around the town wise, if that's kind of your question.
Like specifically right here, like what, like with the exception of like his sweeping steps and the floor that's being created beneath him as he moves around.
So specifically in this location, it's actually pretty silent.
Okay.
As I mentioned
terrifying.
before,
I love that.
As I mentioned before, this area is a little bit outside of town.
Outside of the thing.
Hosen, you would know this, that there's not a huge party scene in Turstfields, right? So like at 7 o'clock, probably people are having dinner with their families and that sort of thing. So there's not a whole lot of traffic going around. But But yes, there is maybe a few crickets chirping, but not as much as you would expect. I mean, this is a place where you would expect there to be tall grass and thousands of crickets chirping, or some sort of fauna kind of, making any sort of sound. But no, and instead I think that you're kind of stricken by how quiet it is. The one thing I would say that is making some sound is the cumulative increase of the flora that you are building essentially around you. There is a creak to that, because the velocity with which it is being created is causing a little bit of, like, you can hear almost like if you were to take a piece of grass and like pull it between your fingers, you could hear that there's like a squeak associated with that. That's essentially kind of what it sounds like around you, just very, very faintly.
Sure, certainly. And I think as it continues, and that silence sort of beckons, his like anxiety kind of peaks up a bit, and the where there's been beautiful sunflowers and tulips and beautiful grass for like just a minute. There appears to be like weeds that are kind of, and like thorns that are growing out of it, and then he sees that and like like gets his composure, and it stops for just a minute.
Okay.
And I think he doesn't say anything else.
Okay. Then I kind of pass this over to the three of you. I mean, actually, maybe I start with Second. Smitty, what is Second kind of feeling at the moment?
Disappointment and fear and loneliness. I think Second picks up the cage, the raven, and carries it a bit away from the group, maybe 15-20 feet, and sets it down on the ground. Then sits down with their back to the group, takes out a few seeds, and just kind of, looks at the raven and the flora that's growing, and feeds the raven every once in a while.
Okay. Would you mind making an animal handling check with advantage, please?
It should be a 4. I mean, 8.
So the raven doesn't seem as though it is taking a liking to you. But I think you assume that it is less about you as a person and more necessarily about the trauma that it just witnessed. Right? There was loud sounds and violence and drama, and I think the raven is a little bit skittish, and it takes a little bit of time before it trusts you enough. But then maybe after 30 seconds or so, it then starts to nibble at some of the seeds that you've given it.
Sit there doing that and thinking about what comes next.
Okay.
Hosen speaks up a little bit. I think during all of this, with watching Second walk away, hearing Cinnabon's concerns, everything that just happened, Hosen has a lot of anxiety at this moment, so he's taking a moment to like calm himself a little bit. Updates Cinnabon. Kind of goes. The mayor had this bracelet around his wrist, holds up the bracelet of the clasp. This is the same sign that I saw on the Yeti. He knew who the clasps were. He knew about everything. He knew about everything. He knew about what was going to happen to the city. He knows where their next meeting is over on Westrune. He knows. And he did nothing. He just stood by. He aided this to happen. And growing up, you hear stories about heroes, you hear stories about vanquishing evil, quote unquote, of killing those who hurt people. This man hurt people. And I kind of look over to Second, and I get up from my spot, walk over to Second, kind of like about to place his hand on Second, but like kind of hesitates a little bit. And husband goes, and I'm not good at being a hero. I'm new to all of this. I just know this person hurt the town that I love. And I want to kill this person so much. That being said, I don't see myself as that. I don't see myself. At least I hope that there's another way for justice. There's more than one way to do the right thing. It's not just about grabbing a sword, driving it through somebody. It's about making things right. And that's when he looked over to Cinnabon. I'm sorry, Second. And I just kind of sit down behind Second.
Second shakes their head a little bit while Hosen is talking, and sighs a bit when Hosen finishes. Looks over their shoulder at Hosen sitting behind them, and then over at Big Mama Mocha, and turns back around to look at the raven and pulls their hood up. Kind of slumps their shoulders looking at the raven.
Hosen understands and gets back up. I want to do what's right. I want to take the mayor to the city and let them decide what to do. I want to show them the information, say, go search the mayor's house. This is what I know. Walk away. There's no other, the shield isn't here. There's no other word. It's his word against mine. But right now he's tied up and unconscious, and hoping they find something more incriminating than what we could. but part of me wants to wait here a little bit until you, Cinnabon, are doing this good deed, which I truly think is the true savior of the city. And killing the mayor, bringing him to justice, it's one thing, but you are giving them a second chance. You are bringing life back to this city. If that's not a heroic deed, I don't know what is.
Second, somewhat quietly whispers to themselves, so probably only Hosen can hear. There is no justice in death, only escape.
Hosen tears up a little bit at that. Kind of wipes and then looks to you all. I'm down to go alone if you all think this is a good idea.
With Mama Mocha, does she notice anything like as far as aside from like the high tension that's going on of just what happened, but I mean in the mayor's mansion, but with Second and with Hosen on how they feel, does she notice that they're upset?
I would make an insight check. I have a very low DC on this, but yeah, that's where I would start with that question.
It's okay if, as a character, Hosen wears everything on his
Yeah,
sleeve.
second-
He's not
second
very
is
good.
not-
Like, yeah,
He's not hiding this at
Okay.
all.
Okay.
like not even trying to hide it all.
Yeah, but we're playing D&D, y'all. A 9 is high
I
enough.
mean,
Yes.
it's
I mean,
not.
I would say that you didn't like you don't know the nature of it because maybe you are still trying to process this on your own, and but at the same time you definitely know that there is something upsetting in Hosen, but mainly with Second.
Mhm. Okay. So Mocha does walk over near them, flops down too. It's like, well, might as well set a spell for a little bit. And when she sits down, she wants to, because she sees that, Hosen has like kind of, not Hosen, I'm sorry, Second, that they have kind of closed themselves off a little bit. And so she does kind of like try to reach out and like, may I? And see if she can kind of like put a hand on his shoulder.
Second visibly recoils from Big Mama Mocha's touch when she reaches out.
Seeing that, the raven squawks at you. You, Big
At
Mama.
me.
Yes.
Ooh, I'm actually curious about that one. All right, so yeah, she does start a little bit. And it was sorry, I was just thinking of myself as just rain. I was in like, wow, it must be a bird thing.
Terrible. Boo.
Locked together.
Oh snap.
So no, so she's thinking about that. So she does kind of, pull away just to keep as a soft distance, so she's not, invading, Second space. And then so she does ask, she's like, did I lose any of your trust earlier in me?
Who are you talking to?
Second.
Okay.
Second dips their head, strains a little bit, drops their hood and turns around and nods at Big Mama Mocha.
Okay. Well, some things that kind of regress can absolutely be repaired, in my opinion. So let me try something and let me see if this will work for you. Okay. So she'll take like her own dagger, not the one that she got from the mayor, and she'll take one of her dreadlocks and like snip it off. Like she'll shear it off, tie like a little piece of twine around it, and she'll just put it on the ground next to Second, so at least he can see it. And she goes, I've taken something of yours before. Here's something of mine. And it's a trinket for you to know that you can always have my trust. And I hope to always have yours, because no one else in the world has that.
Second stares at the hair for 30. It's probably only 30 seconds, but it seems like an interminable amount of time before they pick it up, put it in their pocket, and stare at Big Mama. Then, with an audible sigh, begins to take off their cloak. They, to, in the short time you've been together, you have not seen Second without their cloak or their armor on, or taken off, excuse me. And Second looks at you, Big Mama, and begins to unstrap the shield from their left arm. And as they do so, they say, it's your word against theirs, Second, and frankly, their words make more sense than yours. I'm sorry about your broken arm, but none of the other students claim they witnessed Neldritch attack you. And frankly, that makes it sound like you're making things up. And as they finish speaking, they unstrap the shield. It falls, and you see Second's arm, which is visibly disjointed at the forearm and not in a straight line. They begin to take off their sort of like piece of their leg armor and their boots. And as they're untying the shoes, they repeating to themselves, remember, the Everlight guides and protects those who seek to help others. All of this world's creatures deserve the protection of the Everlight. And as they take off their boots, you see that one is padded a lot higher in the shoe than the other. And Second has one leg that's about an inch shorter than the other one, and says, so you went running to the elders about your arm, huh? Let's see how fast you run after we shatter your fucking leg. And then they begin taking off more pieces of their armor. And with each piece of armor they take off, you see more scars and bruises and just pieces of their body that are not how they were or they were intended to be. And as they're taking them off, they're repeating the words you've heard them say to the benefit of the Everlight, until finally they take off their chest piece. And as they're taking off a chest piece, Second says, Second, I will not tolerate any more of these baseless allegations against your classmates. Now please leave my office and see to your injuries. You're bleeding all over the floor. And as they drop their chest piece, they say, oh, did Second learn a healing spell? Well, I guess that means we can cut even deeper now. And carved into their chest is just the word freak right across the middle of their chest. And Second pauses for a moment, visibly upset, and just says, shit, kid, you're too young to be this fucked up. And looks at you, Big Mama, points back towards the mayor, and just shakes their head.
My stars. And the realization that had been kind of brewing a bit with, you know, a bit of like seconds experience that Mama's kind of noticed a bit, you know, from them over time, it's making a lot more sense, especially now getting like the full like overview of like his current anatomy right now. And you could see in her eyes that she doesn't want to show like a sadness, like a pity, you know, but it's completely laced with empathy. It's completely like where she's she's like, I understand. I get it. And I hate that that's been done to you. And as long as I walk this land by your side, it ain't gonna happen again.
Seconds torn. Appreciating the words of what Big Mama says, but afraid that she may be missing what concerns him most, and points to themselves and says, and then points to the mayor back and forth between Second and the mayor, and also waves a finger at the mayor. All of this world's creatures deserve the protection of the Upper Lake.
Big Mama, she gets it. She does. And she gives that knowing nod. And she looks at the mayor with absolutely just disdain about him. And then she looks at Second and she goes, none of my actions were ever mocked with the intention of making you upset or uncomfortable. And she pulls out her book real quick and opens it up. She reads and she's like, all right, I'm gonna try to do better when I can help it.
Second nods. Says, if you butter the biscuits, then you're going to have buttered biscuits.
We could all have buttered biscuits. The world could do with more of those.
Second looks horrified and realizes that what they were trying to say did not come across well at all.
Nope.
You're talking to a hobbit. Understand? You're talking food to a hobbit. Starches.
But realizes, I think, that that's on Second, and just nods and goes over and puts a hand on Hosen's shoulder and puts a hand on Big Mama's, and just pats them both, but then does turn around and walk away from them again and sits back down by the raven, and in one hand they have the nuts and seeds out that they're feeding the raven, but in the other hand they are holding on to the lock that Big Mama gave them.
Hosen kind of chimes in a little bit. 2 Second and to Cinnabon. This world is full of dark places, and where we go, darkness is ever going to be looming. I am grateful that we have both of your lights to help guide us.
Second will cast light on one of the flowers that's growing in between all of them.
It's really hard reading about all these fantastical tales of good conquering evil. But never in those books talk about how it's actually done and how hard it is not to fall into that pattern, fall for the darkness. Second, I hope that Hosen, lost for words, just goes, I appreciate you. And starts walking over to the mayor.
In Hosen's own voice, second, we'll call back to Hosen as they walk away. I don't want to be a hero, but I need to help them.
Hosen balls. Hosen starts crying. Ah,
I don't want to forget the fact that Cinnabon, you're within earshot of all of this.
Lots to process, certainly. Second, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Second nods. I mean, second feels a kinship with Cinnabon. And also Cinnabon has gained some cover just by pure virtue of not being in the house when everything happened with
No shit.
the mayor. And Cinnabon will say right back, I'm so sorry this happened to you, and will look like Cinnabon for a second. I'm looking for someone that looks like me.
Yeah. Yes. I think what I've learned here in these last few moments is this amazing. Oh, am I volume? Weird. Nope, I'm good. As amazing as it was that you all decided to join, or we all decided to join up together, we really don't know each other that well. Certainly what's happened to us before, what guides our decisions now. Second, the fact that you, even with everything that's happened to you, you still choose to, I believe it was the Everline that you seem to be quoting, that you still decide to follow that is frankly incredible to me. And I can't wait to see where it takes you. Hosen, Big Mama, I don't doubt that you mean well in the decisions that you've decided to make. And I'm not perfect either. And I can't be upset that you almost decided to kill the mayor. I killed someone. I killed 2 people. But I don't want to do that anymore. I recognize that if it's them or me, then certainly I choose me. But the ramifications of this man being dead, I don't know what I would have done. I just don't think it would have been this. We just need to be careful. And we have to be better.
In my defense, he did spit on me after he talked smack about me and tried to kill us. So it wasn't like I was going to try to kill him while he was laying in bed.
Duval.
It was in the heat of the moment. Not out of cold blood.
I know the feeling. I do.
And she does get that look like does that kind of dilute it a little bit?
He still is wearing a frown on his face as he continues to spin
Mm-hmm.
up and around, continuing the spell. I think it's just what it comes back to is it worth it? To go, do we need to go this far to accomplish what we want?
I understand that question. And I know from how you were raised in all of the good senses. What I mean by that, surrounded by so much family and friends, when I was more so raised around just my aunt, who's my guardian, and more beasts than anyone else, and books. We all come from the earth, and at the end of it all, we do return back to it. And what happens in between can be lawful, can be chaotic, but as far as the greater good, absolutely. Who needs to be answering for it? And based on, I would say, the actions that bring up a conflict, it has been my method of survival to staunch that as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So that is what I mean, is that I will work on it as best I can.
Can I make an insight check?
Please. And actually, Rain, if you wouldn't mind messaging me whether, like, individually through Discord, if this is a lie or not a lie, and then just roll deception or whatever, or you could just basically, if you decide that this is totally on the up and up, you could just tell Jacob. Up to you.
Okay.
We could handle this however you'd like.
Sure.
Dirty 20.
She's been dead ass serious. Truthfully.
There's kind of a sigh of relief. Maybe we should as we move forward, we should just continue learning more about each other and where we come from.
I'm sure all of our stories are long.
As we get to tell a new one.
And I think that is a good spot to take a break. All right, everybody, we are going to come back in roughly about 10 minutes to continue on resolving the current issues and seeing where those take us. All right, everybody, we'll be back. All right.
Thanks, Carrot Cover Studios, for the raid.
See you in a
back
bit.
in a sec. roll.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We just had a pretty emotional first half here, and I don't expect that to stop. But where we are right now, and I kind of confirmed this with the group before we came back, is that the plan is essentially to turn in the mayor to the town, and I think, I don't necessarily think that's a terribly interesting thing to spend a whole lot of time on, so we're going to hand wave this a little bit, and essentially just kind of say that you more or less might talk to some of the folks inside of the town, ensure that the mayor is going to be treated fairly, justly, but also, investigated for his crimes. And the house right now is fully unlocked. You anticipate that at some point people are going to be, rooting around inside the mayor's mansion, and there's probably going to be free and fair elections coming up to replace him.
Thank God.
So I think
Posing for mayor.
I think at this point I kind of want to jump forward in time a little bit.
Sure.
To maybe about, let's call it 3
1
hours.
hour for planning.
No, let's call it 3 hours.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I was totally kidding.
And in those 3 hours, I would like, obviously, Cinnabon is continuing his spell. Hosen, we're going to call the 3 hours of him sort of turning into mayor and doing all of that. But I want to check and see during those 3 hours, what is Big Mama and Second doing?
Taking a short rest.
That's probably smart.
Fair enough.
Second would like to visit 2 places in town.
Okay.
The first one, if there's like a print shop, something like that.
Sure.
Okay. We'll go into.
There's a Kinko's.
Yeah, there's Kinko's. Kinko Goodberry. He'll go into
Hey!
to see, and we'll.
But it's actually it's called Kenku's, and
Kinko's. Yes. Naturally drawn to it.
Of course.
And oh my God, do you think that's where the Kinko's got it from?
Almost certainly.
Almost certainly. We'll go there and we'll scrawl something to the best of their ability on a piece of paper and show it to the printer, and I'll send it to you later, Bill. But we'll ask for like 20 copies of this.
Okay.
And then we'll go to Blacksmith.
Sure.
And purchase any manacles they have.
Certainly. Do you just want one set of manacles?
How many sets does the blacksmith have of manacles?
Well, off the shelf, they have 2. But if you're willing to stick around for another day, they could have an order of at least 5 ready for you.
They'll just take the 2.
Okay, perfect. That will be 2 gold.
Gladly paid.
All right. Okay. Unless there's anything else, we are going to fast forward those 3 hours. And Cinnabon, I wanna focus on you for a second, because you are coming to the end of your casting of this ritual spell, Plant Growth. And what you notice is that the last remaining 3 hours of the spell constitutes an accelerated growth. You have planted the seeds during the first couple hours. There begins to be some seedlings for these plants in the next couple hours, and now you are just sort of channeling all of your druidic energy into the area around your feet at the moment. And I would like to ask you, how does the plant growth spell manifest? Like, what exactly are you growing?
So it's a combination of the just like much prettier flora, but also the vegetables, as anything that he's seen before. Um, Corn, zucchini, squash, big old vegetarian diet.
All right.
Potatoes.
And you look down and you have seen these things before, but because this is a magically enhanced version of zucchini and squash and corn and those sorts of things, there is a significant amount of additional, let's call it like what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say meat, but that's not the right that's not the right word. Basically, like
meat.
the produce that is derived from these plants is doubled, and the corns themselves, like the stalks of corn, are leaning over because they are so heavily laden with the corn on it. And you finish your ceremonial dance, you finish your spell, and I think you're exhausted. You've just spent 8 hours after a consecutive 8 hours of travel, and you feel like just emotionally and physically drained.
Yeah.
And I would like you to take 1 point of exhaustion from this.
Fucking gladly.
And that exhaustion kind of like manifests itself in you are so tired from the casting the spell that you kind of momentarily lose a bit of your constitution. Your knees buckle a little bit, and it takes you a couple of seconds to prevent yourself from falling onto your knees. But then you gather yourself together. Yeah, go ahead.
I actually think that he'll accept that, like hitting the dirt.
Okay.
And take a minute to kind of wipe the sweat from his brow. And he kind of looks at all the plants with a bit of a tired grin. I hope you're all doing all right. I'll come check on you when I come back sometime. Perhaps we can have a bit of a chat when there's a bit more time.
All right. Big Mama, where did you take your short rest? Were you kind of right next to Cinnabon?
Yeah, she didn't leave.
Okay, great. So you, in the middle of your short rest, you kind of see the effects of this plant growth spell, and then you see Cinnabon kind of collapse. And then
does he like absolutely like keel over, or just like he's kind of like kind of plops?
No, I think I don't know. You tell me, Cinnamon, but I imagine
like
you
knee?
probably, yeah, you take a knee and like take a couple seconds to gather his constitution.
Yeah, I think he's probably only saved from hitting the dirt by the fact that he's holding 2 large gnarled staffs. It kind of brings him into the dirt.
All right, and I think at this time you both see Second come back with a stack of papers, and you see Hosen come back without the mayor. And now it is just the 4 of you amongst this this field of wonder.
Yeah,
Hey everybody.
he's trying to like hold back like the pride that he feels in his heart, but he's like almost like welling up a little bit, like just a little bit, but he holds his composure a little bit. He's kind of nods at everyone. Well, I see a few of you have been busy.
Hosen reaches out for a hug.
He kind of looks down at the ground a little bit and then looks up at you, and then he'll take it.
Thank you.
Is there space for another in that hug?
Of course, of course. Second,
She
you
rushes
too.
over and just jimmies herself up in there.
Ow!
Second, we'll also go over for the hug.
Thank you.
Well, that was the easy part. I'd do it over and over again if I needed to. Whew, that was a lot.
Just Cinnabon, can you talk to the plants?
Yes. Yes, I can.
Oh, wonderful. I heard you say that, so I was just curious.
My mother liked to have full-on conversations, and got a bit annoying. That's all I always wanted to know what she was saying. So I decided to find out for myself. But
Well,
in
the
due
same
time.
with me and my auntie.
Really?
Really.
I bet they'd be decent, at least decent acquaintances, maybe friends.
Speaking of family, you made a promise to the city to do all of this. I made a promise to you that I would help you get your family back.
Duval. Duval, Duval, Duval. Duval, 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 Duval. Suppose it's that time then.
Yeah.
Do you want to rest up a little bit? Do you want to?
No, I can rest on the road. Oh, that was a lot, I will admit, though. But I would regret it if something were to happen in the next several hours, if we didn't hurry up.
That's what heroes do. Grabs the stuff.
I don't know about all that, but thank you anyway. And let's be honest, if anyone's a hero, kind of pat second on the back. It's this one right here.
Thank
We
you.
need to find a bard so that way they can write songs about us. Get all of our names right.
Ooh, never thought about that.
It's very uncomfortable.
No, I'm sorry, second. I was just saying you're probably the bravest person I've ever met. That's all.
I agree.
If that makes you
Second.
uncomfortable, I'll never say it again, I
Immediately
promise.
puts up their hood,
All
like
right,
picks
I'm
up
not saying that.
the raven,
Cool,
and like
got it.
starts to walk away.
All right. Note to us three: we never call second a hero ever again. All right.
Okay.
I feel so bad. I'm so sorry, second.
You're giving him psychic damage.
He
So
was in his good graces, and then no.
So the way I see it, right now you are quite literally at a crossroads here. I think the plan, at least as I understood it, was for you all to go and seek out Cinnabon and the rest of your family. But I just want to check in because it has been 2 weeks since we played. Does that still seem like the right plan? Do you feel as though this is the right time to leave on that trip? Like, how are you all feeling as it relates to the plan?
As we begin
I
to
would
sort of
say, yeah.
As we begin to commit to that, not to continue to make more promises, but I hope we can also find out what happened to the nurse as well. That might tie into points, Hosen, at your. I don't know if you still have it. The bracelet. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
I'll have
let's
it.
let's keep an eye on that as well.
Of course.
Okay.
After all, she has to see all this lovely work that we've done.
And she will.
Okay.
I think Hosen kind of takes a second and goes like, there is a lot of things on our plate, but to me, the family that we make is most important. And I want to make sure that you get your family back. More than anything right now.
Kind of nods and his like ears kind of like flop back a little sheepishly.
I think it'd be the cutest thing to see a bunch of you standing around. I need to see that.
I don't really know what that means, but I hope that we can make that happen for you, I suppose. Oh, do we need another cart?
Probably should.
Cart. What do you mean, cart?
Like a cart or like a wagon, mode of
Okay.
transport,
Okay. Fair enough.
horses, etc.
Would it be too much? Yeah.
Yeah,
Would
is
it
that
be-
stable master? Is he like happy with us, unhappy with us? We kind of,
That's a really great question. So we stole your
leave a
thing and
huge-
we gave it back, and so we're gonna steal it again. Thanks.
And also gave you money, but also
A
there's
lot.
probably an extra cart from the vandals that took the food.
Yeah. So
Might just be lying around.
you haven't checked in with Tomas, so you don't
Yeah.
really know how he's feeling about things. That could be something that you do right now.
Let's check in with Tomas, see if we can.
Yes, and certainly, hopefully, some good fortune and new vegetables will tide his possible being upset. I don't know.
and smiles, big smiles. I hear smiles work.
Do you think he likes
Hosen
pumpkin?
gives him. Hosen gives the biggest forced smile of his life. Just
Don't all.
it's all teeth.
To Tomas.
Okay. All right. So again, the stable houses are just outside of town, and Hosen, you probably are leading the way just because you know the direction. But this is starkly different from the first time that you entered or walked towards the stable houses during this campaign, because as you remember, the very first time you were kind of crunching underneath your feet the dead produce that had been harvested, and then the soil kind of sapped a lot of the moisture out of the roots of the corn and grass and that sort of thing. But now you're kind of pushing through these very tall plants. And again, because plant growth doesn't come with necessarily a lot of organization or proper like stilting of the plants, like
Well, it's
The
a
zoo-
half mile radius, to be fair.
well, the zucchinis are just they're not organized. They're just kind of
Yeah,
going.
I'm
everywhere.
Faye, baby. I'm Faye. This is some Faye shit.
Yeah, it is.
Organization.
It is not organized whatsoever, and I think you probably have to be a little bit careful so to not step on, the thousands of zucchini that are now kind of up in front of you. But anyway, that's besides the point, because when you get to the stable, you open up that door, you see those 3 stables that are there, and you see Hosen, you know this to be Tomas because you have spoken to him before, but this is a rather large knoll creature. And
Yes, nose.
and you could see that he has this very large, wide-eyed facial features, and he is currently sitting down with an extremely large pumpkin in front of him. And he has used his claws to sort of carve out the top of this pumpkin, and you can see that he's thrown the top of it off to the side, and now he's just sort of reaching inside of the pumpkin and just eating the insides of it. And you come and open up the door and see him in the middle of like chewing up some of the seeds that are in there. And he looks up at you and says, "What you want?"
Hi, Tomas. It's
"Oh,
good to
it's
see
you." And he kind of like removes a lot of the pumpkin seeds out of his mouth and then stands up. He's sitting crisscross applesauce at the moment, and he like stands up and then and puts the pumpkin down. He says, "We need to talk. That wasn't cool what you did with my horses before."
I hope the money would soften the blow a little bit. I'm sorry if it didn't.
No, it did. It definitely softened the blow. But
Okay, cool.
I just don't
But
want you to
also-
feel like there's an open invitation to start taking stuff without asking previously.
I'm sorry.
I really like knowing where my horses are.
I know you do, and I'm sorry. I should have went to go find you in town first before we left, but bit of a time crunch.
He's completely disinterested. He bends over and picks up the pumpkin again and starts munching down on the pumpkin and offers you some and says, "You want some?"
Actually, yes, that'd be great. And starts like reaching in for some pumpkin as well. And goes, I was wondering, we need to go down south, and we were wondering if we can use your aid and use some horses.
You know Tomas to be a bit dirty, and he says, "You need to go south."
Not
First of
quite
all,
what I'm saying, but okay.
just make sure I understand. First of all, glad you like the pumpkin. Two, it's just a general location, right? South.
"Oh, so
Yes.
your friend's pretty cool, huh?"
The coolest. Like that pumpkin points over.
He like cracks off a piece of it and like the flesh of the outside of it, and then starts sucking on it.
Oh,
So about those horses, can we use them, borrow them?
Oh,
buy them
yeah.
off of
Hosen, listen, if there's anybody who's trustworthy inside of this town, it's you. Fully trust the fact that you're going to bring him back safe and sound.
you? Alrighty.
I'm just concerned
Great.
that you ask ahead of time, which of course you did this in this instance.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll take 2 horses. And do you have access to the carts that the vandals use that we brought back, or what's the situation? Do you have a cart that we can use?
I'm sure I could drum something up.
Perfect.
Why don't you get these horses all saddled up, and I'll go scrummage up a cart for you to bring.
Perfect. And Hosen starts going over to the horses.
Cool.
Second is staring at Cinnabon, having spent most of his formative years in basically a high school environment, trying not to say something that will lead to a beating. He's looking at Cinnabon like, "Be cool, bro. You're embarrassing us."
he is taken aback, and then like takes a pace back and puts his hands like behind his back, like just like. I think I'm just going to be right here.
So about 15 minutes pass. I would say the 4 of you are able to get the horses, saddled up and whatnot. And then you see Tomas his very large hulking body come back through the door, and this time he has a completely new pumpkin, and he does the same sort of thing. He uses his claws to open up the top, and he starts sucking on the top portion of the flesh of the pumpkin, and he says, "Oh, I got you a great cart. One of those raiders that you mentioned left it behind, and nobody's claiming it. So, as far as I'm concerned, it's yours."
We'll take it.
All right, it's right outside. I can link it up to the horses if you'd like.
Perfect. That would be amazing.
Okay. He puts the pumpkin down, and then reconsiders it, and then picks the pumpkin back up, and then goes outside, and you can hear him starting to drag the cart around to where the horses are, and then you can see that he's starting to link up the horses to the cart. There's a verb for that, but hitch. That's right.
There we go.
Right. So now you've essentially got a functioning carriage with the cart attached to the horses, and you are good to go.
Perfect. Shall we?
Second, we'll look over at Tomas as they begin to ride away and just go south.
Amazing.
As you ride into the distance, he says, "That one's all right."
I am so confused.
All right. So, switch the music. You are now on the trail.
Road map.
We're on the road.
So, that's a bit loud. Turning it down. Okay. So, let's do a quick time check.
Mm-hmm.
Before we took the break, it was about 7 p.m. And then it's still a little bit loud, isn't it?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay. So so it was about 7 p.m. when we first took the break. Then we added 3 hours. So now we're pushing towards 10 p.m.
Sure.
Does that impact what you would like to do?
I feel like we might ride out of town for a little bit. Do we want to take like a long rest, or do we want to just keep on keeping on?
I think someone sort of thinks about it for a minute. Let's if we get pretty tired, then certainly. Let's just see how much progress we can make tonight.
We could do something. I mean, we have a whole carriage now. Some of us sleep, some of us keep watch as we ride on this road, and we could just ride throughout the night.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, that is definitely something that you could do. You could have one person steering and use that as kind of the watch, and the other ones can take a long
Certainly.
rest. So that'll be how you work it.
Certainly. All right. Who would like to rest first?
I'm done to take first watch. I feel like you did a lot of heavy lifting tonight and today.
I want to say the same.
No, I think I'm gonna. All right. I have been betrayed. All right.
Go rest.
Nods and then kind of crawls in the back.
All right. Hosen, you're going to be taking first watch?
Correct.
Can I ask how long the ride is going to be?
Oh yeah.
Well, why don't you make an intelligence check, because you saw the map.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be, let's call it survival, because I think estimating journey distance would be a survival skill.
Okay.
Okay. All right. With the 13, you you probably guess that it might actually be somewhere around 2 days. It's a
Okay.
pretty far ride.
Gotcha. So Big Mama Mocha thinks about it. It's like, do y'all want to just do this? And I know, of course, Cinnabon's already kind of passed out in the back, but should we go in pairs or should we do this, one at a time, overlapping? How are we taking the shifts?
Second's looking around the cart. Is there any part of the cart that is like there's like an overhang or covered at all, or is it just an open cart?
Yeah, so this is I think what they would have used to call a coupe, which is basically just an open cart with no real overhang.
So you asked that, Big Mama, and second looks very anxious.
Okay. All right, so you're thinking that just one at a time?
They're sort of like not paying attention. They're looking around, trying to see if there's like a way they can kind of craft something that is a covering on the cart.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was just Googling coupe carriage, and that is not at all what I meant.
I love you so much.
Yeah,
Oh God! No,
yeah,
that's disgusting.
yeah, that's not what this
Don't
is.
Google that. That's
Yeah.
an act.
Yeah, it's someone else like shirt
What is
shirt
happening?
Going
tugging.
right there now.
Almost like short
No, no, no.
Call back.
Yeah.
Use incognito mode.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm, 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 mm.
You don't
So-
want this.
So I'm sorry, your question was, is there something in the cart that you could use to fashion some sort of cover?
Yeah, something that would be an overhang of some sort.
Well, I mean,
If the answer is no, that's fine.
yeah, this is a pretty empty cart because what it used to contain was like those sacks of grain and flour and those sorts of things. There might be one empty sack still in there, but I don't know that is enough to craft a sort of cover unless you get creative, but there is like sort of an empty flour sack in there.
Flour sack and I'm sorry, I'm just really thinking of like actual flowers, but you mean actual like flour.
Yeah, so imagine you're doing a three-legged race. That's the sort of thing
Yeah.
that's in there.
Cinnamon has
yes.
a bedroll and a blanket with him, just as a note, because you would have seen both of those
Question.
things.
And
Yeah,
this is could we, Bill? I've got well, Mama Mocha rather has entangle as a spell, and it's like grass me weeds and vines can sprout out of the ground for like a 20-foot square radius. Kind of thing. Can that be ish kind of thing to make some sort of like a canopy for the cart? Can that?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
but Big Mama would know that this is not a very long-lasting spell, so it could
I
be
know,
temporary,
I know.
right?
Could she kind of druid craft it?
That would take forever.
Quickly pour some like silicone mold over it. Let it just kind of stay there.
We all have resin on us, right? Yeah.
Actually, I don't see that you have Druidcraft as a spell.
It's weird. It's
Cantrip.
well, druidic focus, and that's in my inventory. my
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it would take a really long time.
Okay.
But you can start working on it. You've got a long time.
Okay. She's
right.
going to start doing that.
Sounds good.
Second, we'll sit up next to Hosen. And we'll like contemplate whether the little bit of a bench at the front of the wagon is large enough for Second to squeeze into. Like underneath where Hosen's sitting.
It could be, yeah.
Okay, then Second will tap Big Mama on the shoulder, point to themselves, and then just point under the chair, the seat at the front of the cart, and then we'll squeeze in underneath where Hosen is sitting, and just say, "You're always welcome to sleep under the table," and squeeze in there.
Very cool. All right. Cinnabon, I imagine you are just kind of passed out in the back.
Yep, light snoring.
No?
Uh-oh, the children have arrived.
I really need you.
Did he
I
give
really
the-
need you guys. Yeah.
The
You
Italian is coming out.
Just,
Wow.
I
Got
prepped
with
the
a
chicken
sleep.
parm.
Hey, oh.
I prepped the
Hey,
chicken parm
oh.
for tomorrow.
Gabagool.
Killing me.
I love you. I love you so much. Amazing.
Killing me. What
Anyway,
was I saying? Oh, okay. So, right. Wait, where's the music? Where'd the music go?
check. Music's still on.
Is it?
Yep.
So good.
Yep. You asked me if I was sleeping, and I am.
Okay. So, Hosen, you're driving.
Yes.
I would like you to make a animal handling check, please.
Am I in it?
Ooh.
Cool.
Yep.
Oh,
Sorry, you are sleeping. You cannot cast guidance.
A 9.
All right.
Solid.
With a 9, you are able to command and control. It is not natural for you. You are having, a little bit of a feeling of you've never done this before. Maybe with a cart, with a pair of horses. You've ridden a horse before, obviously, but this is slightly different. You've got reins and you're trying to control them. But it's not hurting your progress. It just feels a little bit uncomfortable, especially because Second is sleeping basically underneath your feet. And now I would like you to do a perception check, please.
You got it.
Hell yeah. 21.
21. Let's go.
So with a
See
21,
everything.
it is, again, it's roughly about 11 o'clock at night right now. You can see that the moon is coming up. It is hanging roughly about 20 degrees overhead on the left-hand side, kind of casting a pretty decent shadow across the plains here. And with the light being reflected off of the moon, you can see that the area in front of you is pretty, let's call it, pretty quiet. You don't see that there's a whole lot of activity. But with the 21, you can also see that far off in the distance, pretty far. And I think it takes you a couple of seconds of reflecting about the moon and the stars and everything that's around you. You now kind of focus on the road ahead, and very, very far off in the distance, you see a slight plume of dust being kicked up, clearly by others that are traveling. You cannot tell the direction because it is so far off, but you can tell that it is there.
Alrighty.
And
I
that,
take note of that and keep on keeping on.
all right. And that is the substance of your time on watch. I believe watch lasts, what, 4 hours? So we are now moving quickly towards 2 in the morning.
Love it.
Who's next?
Because my Mocha's still doing her thing, right? She's still taking some time for that. Make it the canopy.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, no, she's still good for staying up for staying watch.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So are you taking over for Hosen?
I can if she's done.
Yeah, I think 4 hours is probably enough to druidcraft something and then lace it together as a kind of canopy of sorts.
Okay.
It's not huge. It's not expert quality, but it is sufficient. I would say you've got a couple sticks in there, a couple of laces of. It's definitely flourished by some flowers on top too, so it's definitely got a beauty element as well. All right. So you're hopping in the driver's seat,
She will.
okay? And Hosen, you're going to sleep.
Going straight to sleep.
Perfect. Okay, so why don't we get animal handling first? And because I think of your background, let's do that with advantage.
Okay. Voice 17. And then had 25.
All right.
Let's go.
She's like Hidalgo. She does.
I am the horse.
Yeah. I think with those kinds of roles, you can feel that the horses now feel a lot more comfortable with somebody that is confident in their ability to drive horses, and so they actually pick up the pace a little bit. Now, if you could also give me a perception check, as is typical with watches.
15.
Okay. Yeah, with the 15, and remember, your watch spans the 4 hours between 12 in the morning, 2 in the morning to roughly about 6. And you can start to see that the sun is coming up towards the right. And it is starting to cast shadows. And over on the right-hand side now, because you've been traveling for about 8 hours, you just start to see over on the right-hand side that the sun is no longer coming up over plains. It is coming up over very distant mountains. And you can see that those mountains are cast in the shadows, not just only because of the fact that the sun is backlighting them, but also because there is something shady about them. They are nothing that you, Big Mama, have ever seen before. You personally don't know anything about them, but there is something that is off about them. And even though they are far off in the distance, basically on the horizon at the moment, it's kind of eerie. But it is 6 in the morning, and the sun is casting that light. And for long rest purposes, we can go ahead and click those buttons. And you see up ahead that you're now well outside of the range of the plant growth spell. And you saw, as I think Hosen, you probably saw this, but you transition outside of that area pretty quickly, because I think it's only a mile radius, right, Jacob?
Half a mile.
Half a mile, yeah. So you transition pretty quickly outside of that, and it is a continuing of this very bleak landscape of dead plants, and you could see every once in a while that there were a couple of very small animals, small rodents, and maybe a couple of, I don't know, maybe fantasy bobcats or something that looked like they were, I won't say starving, but definitely struggling for food. And now that you are further along, I think what you see in front of you is that there is a branch in the path. So I think from your previous role on intelligence about the relation of the map, you know that if you were to go straight, you would go directly to Western. And if you were to go right, you know that this would go up towards those shadowy hills. But your understanding is that this is probably the location where you need to go off of the path and head directly south to Shadeborough. But before we do that, I just want to confirm, is everybody up? Everybody moving around?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Up and moving.
Okay.
Good morning.
Cleaning off armor. Does the whole kind of try to make it look clean.
Second, you awake from underneath now Big Mama. And I would like you to make a perception check, please.
$17.
Okay. So as a part of waking up, I imagine that second typically has a couple of moments of hyper awareness after waking up. From I mean, you tell me if that's accurate.
Accurate.
Yeah. So when you do wake up and you look out, you see this crossroads up ahead. And I think you see coming from the north towards this little T section of the path, you see a cart. And the cart is being pulled by one horse. And it is the cart itself has livery on it that is incredibly familiar to you. It is an emerald green color, and emerald green is for sure the color of Mercy, your hometown. And you also know that it's kind of odd for somebody to be this far south carrying the livery of Mercy.
Shit. Second is very torn. Given the dedication to the mission of Mercy, but also the circumstances with which they left. But knowing that this is uncommon, they will tap Big Mama and point towards the cart that's coming from the north, and then point to themselves.
All right, is that good news or bad news? Okay. You're plan A. So, is it right? And then that card, like it is slowly moving. We're just kind of like converging on each other, right?
Yeah, so the way I envision it is that because there's in this part of the region, there's not a whole lot of fields anymore. And so your visibility is pretty good. So you can see that they are more or less coming to converge at the meeting point of the T section of the pathway, and more or less you'll meet there at the same time.
Well, we're gonna end up saying hi anyway, so let's go do it. And then I'm assuming that he's on board for us just to continue on for all of us. We just know we're gonna ride forward.
Second will point again and then say, life, faith, peace, redemption, guide us, bless us, protect us, oh holy Everlight. And then go, a violent hand is an unjust hand. And then go,
Well, we're gonna do that first hand first, right? And she will, just kind of understanding. She'll grab her quarterstaff and just, have it to the side, just ready, just in case, kind of just sitting there, looking more like a crutch than it would be like an actual that. But she's gonna cast Shillelagh on it.
I think that's a pretty short duration spell. You sure
it's
you
like
want to
a
do that?
round? Yeah.
I think it's only just the 1 minute.
Why don't we do
How close
this?
are they to us?
I mean, you probably have another 15 minutes or so to meet up with them.
Just kidding. I'm just
So why don't we do
kidding.
this? Like you could do that. You can have that be trigger, and then the second you get closer, you'll basically have that. You'll have that turned on.
This is my cantrip. I'm just casting it
Over and over and over and over again, like a light.
It's like my EDM bass drop, but in every time. There you go.
Awesome.
Cinnabon will look at second. I think I'm pretty familiar with that conflict, and cast Druidcraft, and like a large tulip appears and produce flame at the same time. I'm ready with whichever way we go.
Ozen just kind of sits there, hand on the rapier, just kind of. Let's see what happens. Let's try not to draw attention. Just kind of pass by and see. Do we want to say hi? Do we want to just sit back? Let's just sit back. Let them make the first move.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
and second just woke up. And they are a class that needs to repair spells for the day. That is what they are currently doing.
All right. So you will start to come to this crossroads. And this is getting closer and closer. And I think second, I imagine, but you tell me if I'm wrong, but I imagine that your eyes are not deviating whatsoever from this cart, trying to assess which side of the coin this is going to fall on.
And will also be making themselves scarce in the back of the cart.
Okay. Okay.
I assume that.
All right, fair enough. Now, I think, why don't we all do perception checks, please?
That sounds great.
Percepciones.
Ooh, that's pretty great.
15.
17.
21.
Nice.
21.
22.
Okay. So, Cinnabon, you see this first, but you're not sure how to contextualize it. Is that the person who is driving the cart is wearing... Well, first of all, they are a very large human man, and they have a white shirt on. Seems like a frock of sorts with peasant pants that resemble kind of this burlap quality.
All right.
And with a 22, now you're probably about 500 feet away or so. You can see that there is something interrupting the white purity of their shirt. And that is a big red splotch. They are wounded. Second, you see that after Cinnabon.
Yeah, I think he even says it out loud. I believe they're wounded. He kind of
And
points
then-
to his side.
And then second, you recognize this person now that you have eyes on them. This is the groundskeeper, Corbett. Now, did you have an idea about what Corbett looked like? I kind of took liberty to say that they were a very large
Perfect.
human
Perfect.
man. Okay, cool.
When second sees Corbett, they will jump out of the cart and start sprinting towards
Oh.
oncoming cart as fast as they could.
Second.
All right, I think that was not what I was
That's
expecting.
for us too.
No. Good sign, I think.
I believe so. Well, they are hurt. So
Big Mama
they're
runs right after him.
I take the reins of the horse.
I was gonna say, I was like, who's driving the cart?
I take the reins and just kind of like try to.
Yeah.
As second closes on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Cinnamon just stands up in the cart. He's staying with Big Mama Mocha.
Hosen, because Big Mama is running.
Oh right, sorry.
I'm staying in the cart. Yeah.
Hosen
Right,
is staying.
sorry.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, right. Sorry.
All right. So, what would you like to do as you close in on Corbett?
As second closes on Corbett, they will yell out, "A lot of my favorite plants grow out of shit," and then we'll jump up and hug Corbett. And as they're hugging them, we'll cast Cure Wounds.
Before you even get there,
Oh,
Corbett
God.
looks at you and he does a double take. And he then it's like, well, holy shit. Look at that. It's second. I thought you were gone forever. And then you jump up and then give him a hug and he pats you on the back and says, well, Jesus Christ, isn't that the nice bit of wings around you? I never thought I'd miss that as much. Oh, be careful though. Oh. And then you cast Cure Wounds.
13 points.
Beautiful. And you can see the tenseness of his body kind of releases a bit. And then he ends up fully embracing you. Says, well, shit. What fortunate this is for us to run into each other. Where you been? How have you been?
I hope you enjoy your time here at Turst Fields.
You found yourselves over in Trustfields, yeah? Not very exciting, is it? Not like Mercy. Well, Mercy, and then you see his face sours. And he says, well, Mercy is, let's just say you got out at the right time. Oh, by the way, and he kind of turns back, and it's a covered wagon with a little curtain, and he pulls the curtain back, and then you see lying in the back is a gravely wounded Alice, the cook, and unconscious. He's lying in his own blood, and he says, I sure would appreciate it if you did Alice a solid too.
I will jump up to Alice and wrap my winged arms around her and also cast Cure Wounds. Oh, 8 points.
All right, that is enough to stabilize Alice. And I apologize, I misgendered them, her.
Okay.
So appreciate that correction. And what does Alice look like?
Um, she is rather slender for a cook. Many like hard angles to her face. Very prim and proper. Her chef's outfit was always meticulously clean. Her hair was always pinned back. Her apron was tailored, and she took a lot of pride in her appearance for someone who was, late 60s, perhaps.
Okay, and you could still tell that she's currently wearing that apron. And I think even further that there is still what seems like fresh grease on the apron. But it's also covered in blood, obviously.
I'll start to try and knowing how much she cares about her appearance, I'll try to completely ineffectually like scrape, push, brush away the blood and grease, and just keep saying, the kitchen is a safe place for you. The kitchen is a safe place for you. The kitchen is a safe place for you.
Well, second, I don't know what to tell you, but that kitchen is no longer a safe place for you. In fact, I mean, that's why we're running away. You know that asshole Nelzich. I think asshole isn't nearly as strong as a word as describes him. You know that motherfucker staged a rebellion. He thought that the elders were soft and the pacifist ways that they were trying to comport were weak. So he brought together some of the other bullies and took over the place. Killed Elder Valen, wounded Elder Celatine, and trying to get out. That's why me and Alice here are on our way to Westruun, maybe find some other jobs or something along those lines. But I'm glad you weren't there to see that, because I couldn't imagine what Nelson would have done to you.
Second looks down at Alice, brushing her hair back as they turn back to Corbett, and says, "Oh, my poor second, what did they do to you? You need to leave this place soon. If you don't, I fear they are going to kill you. They're going to kill you."
That must have been the beginning of the end. Alice must have known that something was going on. But I'm sure, just like everybody, we thought that there's no way. Nelzich, he's a piece of shit, but he's not going to do anything massive. But I guess we were just too naive. We didn't think that he could have done this. And the power of Elder Valen and Elder Celatine, it just wasn't a match for the sheer volume of the brothers that rose up. It was quite something. Anyway, I'm sorry to share this terrible news with you, but I'm so goddamn glad to see you. And he reaches out and then gives you another hug. He says, promise me you'll not ever go back there.
Lightning doesn't grow on the same tree twice.
Well, I mean, speaking of which, where are you going? You said you were in Turstfield, but you're definitely with some companions. And at this point, he sees you, Big Mama, kind of running behind. And I mean, you may actually be ending up at the same point here with Hosen and Cinnabon. He says, where are you all headed? What are you doing? Pretty much out here in the middle of nowhere.
I point to Cinnabon.
He goes to exit the cart, and he puts a hand on Hosen's shoulder. I didn't expect us to find another family on the way. But I'm glad we found another.
Me too.
And he jumps down off the cart. Hello. Yes, we're hopefully on our way to a bit of a family reunion of sorts. We're headed to the Shade Barrow. Oh, where are my manners? I'm sorry. Cinnamon Garris is my name. What's yours?
My name's Corbett, and you best believe you're not going to the Shade Barrow. Now, I've never been there. I've never heard of anybody that's gone there, but I've definitely read the stories, and you're not taking second to Shade Barrow. I am not okay with that. Are you okay with that? And he looks over at you second. Why are you okay with that? Do you know about Shade Barrow? I don't know what the fuck y'all are doing, but that is a lot. Why don't you just come with us? We'll go to West Room. We'll find something to, I don't know, take up our time. Shade Barrow's a place where y'all are going to die. You know that, right?
In Balthazar's voice, second will say, "My God, it is an emergency."
Well, I appreciate your concern. But I believe my family was kidnapped and brought there, and nothing will stop me from finding them.
He takes a big sigh. And second, you know that Corbett, through all of his kind of gruff exterior, he's rather wise. And he says to you now, second, so let me get this straight, that you're going into Shade Barrow, possibly one of the most dangerous places this side of the continent, to get back your family. And now I'm thinking, second, what was the stated mission of Mercy? What did we do there? I mean, forget about all the students and all the kids and all the riffraff of what was going on there, but what was Mercy itself?
Life, faith, peace, redemption, guide us, bless us, protect us, O Holy Everlight.
Exactly. This was a place in one of the most dangerous places that was designed to be a bit of refuge, solace, defense against all of the stuff that was in the Umbra Mountains. And if you were somebody that followed the Everlight, somebody that believed in the true mercy of Tal'dorei, you could come there and find refuge. And now all that's broken. And I specifically told you to never go there because I thought that it was too dangerous for you. It was not in line with the overall mission of making sure that we're not putting ourselves at unnecessary risks. And here you are now going along with your friends to find his family.
Cinnamon kind of looks at everybody. We certainly already made worse and more rash decisions. This is no different.
Well, that is certainly the life of adventurers, and I assume that's kind of what you all call yourselves now. But listen, second, I made you make a promise not 5 minutes ago to never go back to Mercy. But seeing as though this is, I would say, second in the list of dangerous things that you're about to do, I think that the mission of Mercy, what it stands for, what it was supposed to be, and forgive me, Cinnabon, for saying this, but it might be slightly more globally important than finding some family members. Now, I know you've got promises. I know you've made commitments to your friends, and I think you should honor that, and I respect that. But if you could find it in yourself to get rid of Nelzich, remove that rebellion, and perhaps recast it in your own image, that would be something.
Second creeps back from Corbett when he says that, shaking his head.
Where is
Points
Mercy in
at
comparison to Shade Barrow?
He looks over at second and then kind of puts a thumb behind him and says, "Oh, it's about 2 days ride north." What were we going to say, Smitty? He looks at you a second and says, "Listen, I know that it's a big ask, and I don't necessarily think that you need to lead Mercy, but you know who doesn't deserve to lead Mercy? Nelzich. You know who doesn't deserve to take in others, to take in the folks that are true believers of the Everlight? Nelzich and his goons that have taken over. And granted, I had disagreements with the way that Elder Celatine and Elder Valen were, you know this, were treating you and letting Nelzich take advantage of you. But they had the right idea in mind about what Mercy was supposed to be, and I believe that they imparted that into you. Folks need somebody like you around.
Some poor schmuck that got caught up in this. Why not himself?
He says, "Well, I don't expect anything. It was just an ask. And if that's not up to you, then I'm sorry. If that's not something you're up to, then of course I'll never hold that against you. But of all the people that I thought were true believers, I thought it was you." And then he starts to saddle up, and you can see him start to raise the reins.
Second's eyes narrow and is visibly angered at what Corbett is saying, not at the context of what happened, but at what Corbett is insinuating. They grab Corbett's arm and go, "Is that inappropriate? That was the wrong thing to say."
Okay. And I think at that point, Corbett will fall apart a little bit and just say, second, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. And that was the wrong thing to say. It's been a long journey. Seen a lot of death in the past day or two. And it's affected me. And I apologize. I lashed out at you, but I don't think it's right.
Second will nod and pat Corbett on the arm and say, pointing to Cinnabon, and say, "This is the mission of mercy. From what I read, you're never supposed to leave dinner early."
Well, listen, it was damn good to see you, second, and I'm glad you're doing well. I think Alice and I are gonna hole up in Westruun for a bit. So if you find yourselves out that way, find us. It'd be good to have a proper get together, catch up on old times.
Second will nod, give Corbett a hug, think about it for a moment, and then gesture in the direction of Mercy. And to Corbett in a low voice will say, "All of this world's creatures deserve the protection of the Everlight."
And before he leaves, he leans down to you and whispers in your ear, "I know it's not important now, but I thought it would be worthwhile to tell you just a secret that I thought was funny and I wasn't allowed to tell you, but now who gives a shit?" When Nilsich would pee, he would take his pants all the way off. And he cracks up laughing and then clicks the reins, and then the cart starts to move off. And you can hear him still laughing as he moves on.
Second is cracking up, but it's a very odd thing because their laughter is an amalgamation of like 15 different laughters that they've
Amazing.
heard, but is clutching their stomach.
And you are left with right now basically at the crossroads. And as per the map, you were supposed to go directly south. But before we move on, I think this is probably the right time to call it, because any further sort of movement can open up a whole can of worms.
Sure.
So I think we're gonna call it here.
Okay.
I love it.
Cool. With the aftermath of that conversation, because I would like some words. I am feeling a type of way. I am mad as fuck right now.
Oh really?
Dude, yeah. I was like, he's so gaslighting second right now. I am so upset.
So good.
I loved it.
It's like family.
Yeah.
Listen, there should be a general content warning ongoing with the NPCs from backstories that gaslighting is going to be happening.
100%. Pretty much every TTRPG.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
No, I did pull it back a little bit because I do think that there is an aspect of it where he's just been through some shits. And
trauma, certainly.
Hurt people, hurt people.
Trauma, hurt people. Yeah, that first line, I was like, oh my god, I about like fell out of my chair. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? Yeah.
All right.
Well done, Speedy. Well done, Bill.
Yeah, nice work. That was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's close it out here.
Sure.
So we will be back next week, if everything goes well, and
Damn right.
we will start to make our way down towards
Wait, wait.
Shadeborough. But before we close out tonight, let's do around the horn and give me plugs where we can find you, anything you would like. Let's start with Smitty.
Hey, everybody. At PB Smitty on the interwebs, mostly on the Twitters for now. We'll see how long that lasts. You can also find me at PB Smitty on the Instas. And who knows, Mastodon, WeHost, whatever the fuck else we end up at. I don't know. But also the Discord. Jump in the Discord if you haven't. Say hello there. Also tomorrow night, availability permitting, you can find me on So Many Games playing Dusk, the Tabaxi detective who just wants to fucking retire already.
I can
usually I think it's 8 o'clock Eastern. Just come in whenever. Say hey. But that's me.
All right, let's go over to Alex next.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alex, or Ziva RPG. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch at Ziva RPG. You can find me actually this Thursday. D&D Jordan Lee is hosting a charity event all weekend long. I'll be part of the first game with some incredible people. I totally forgot what time. 4 p.m. Pacific time, I believe. For that one, highly recommend checking them out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you all for having me.
All right, Rain, what are you up to?
Nothing. I will be on Instagram and on TikTok as Virgo_Rain with all of my mermaiding and cosplay adventures. I am never been a part of actually Twitter, so I don't have to be on the. I am going to be soon to be eventually when it happens, when I can find time to deactivate my account. So I'm never gonna. Haven't been on Twitter, so I'm good. But no, it's just the social medias for me, the normals.
Yeah, the same. I don't know. Like I said at the beginning of the show tonight, I'm not somebody who this is a big sacrifice for because I haven't really been a big Twitter person. But yeah, by far the most reliable way to chat with us is that Discord. Okay, Jacob, would you like to plugs?
I would love to. Hey, everybody. My name is Jacob Plick, Duval King Jacob, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not going anywhere. They can fight me. I don't really care. Anyway, you can find me tomorrow, Wednesday, right here on the Amphitheater, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be playing some more Final Fantasy IX. It is getting wild. Getting into the meat of that wonderful, incredible game. And Vivi's the best character ever. And that is, of course, this coming Sunday, Duval and Dragons over on twitch.tv/So Many Games, episode 43. Big confrontation coming up with some stained glass windows, some vampires, and Dante's mom. It's going to be awesome. You should come hang out and check it out. It's based off of Chrono Trigger and lots of homebrew stuff. And of course, the opposite Thursday, so not this coming Thursday, next week, over on Waffles Maple Syrup, our Pathfinder 2e game, Outcast and Outclassed, which just celebrated its 1-year anniversary, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's an incredible show, so you should check that out as well. What about you, Bill?
Pretty much nothing at the moment. Just hanging out, just living life, being cool.
So cool.
That's my whole deal.
That reminds me, Bill, I didn't do a plug for our lovely Thursday show because we haven't had it for a couple of weeks due to travel and whatnot. We're not going to have it next week because Bill is culturing. And then the next slated date that we're supposed to have it is Thanksgiving. Sure. I don't know what you're doing on Thanksgiving, but I mean, we could talk about it. But I mean, if you're around and you wanted to do a Thanksgiving AMGMs in the PM, I mean, I'm open.
Lots of noodles.
Yeah,
lots of noodles.
We'll figure it out.
That's a no from Bill. That's a no from Bill, folks.
That's a no from Bill.
Maybe
Yeah.
during the day, but we'll see. Yeah, so Smitty and I typically run a tight 50 show where we are silly and basically tickle each other for the duration of the show. But we're not
Yeah.
going to be doing it for a while because I have to go and see Les Mis next Thursday. So before I hand it back over to Jacob, I do just want to call out, listen, I realize that this is not a very large platform, but I think it would be I would be disappointed in myself if I didn't say that if you are registered to vote, please get out there. Tuesday is
Same.
a big day, and it's really, really important. So please get
is.
out there and do your duty as a citizen of this country to make sure that
Vote.
right, yes. All right. I'm going to hand it back over to you, Jacob, for the outro.
Perfecto. So, as per usual here on the Empatheter, we'd like to remind you of the following truths. I was going to add voting at the top anyway, so thank you, Bill. And it's also the fact that Black Lives Matter, stop AAPI hate, trans rights are motherfucking human rights. If you don't have a uterus, you don't get to tell people with uteruses what to do with theirs. It's not your uterus. It's none of your business. Stay in your fucking lane. Climate change is real. Read comics because it's the only reason why movies are any good right now. And mental health is health. Make sure to take care of yourself. And as always, make sure that when you have the opportunity to, choose love. We love you. Thank you for being here. I think we're going to go raid some Maddie games. What do you think, Bill?
Sounds good to me.
They are playing some Star Trek right now. And both Maddie and Jaleesa are actually on the cast of Duel of Dragons. So say what's up, say hello, and we will see you, if not tomorrow, on the Empatheter. We'll see you next week. Boy, oh boy. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Or
And we are out.
Awesome.